Today is Saturday, February 4th, 2023, and I'm about to go to my Chinese class in 1 hour. But today is the full moon day, the first full moon day according to the new lunar year calendar. So there would be a lot of activities throughout Korea, including fireplace, throwing red beans or eating red beans, patjuk, which is said to ward off evil spirits and bad fortune from your year-long activities. So I am super excited, but yesterday at my work, there was a debate about DDNS and poorforwarding issues, and nobody knew except me. I knew all about the poorforwarding and DDNS setting. So I expect there would be some debate in my office when I go back to work on Monday. Or as a matter of fact, Monday is my day off. So Tuesday there would be some debate, and I want to come out winner by reading this article and get more educated about the technology. I've never read this article, but I am trying to read it so that I could get more information about those techniques and also to practice English. Yes, I practice English by reading an English material, one article per day on a daily basis. So I am super excited because it's a dual purpose effort on my part to get information, to get educated, and also to practice English. So here we go. Planet. By the way, the music in the background is about the Buddhist chanting. It's for wishing everybody, every animal, every living creature on earth a happy life, a life without pain. It's a medication for everybody. Support, user-friendly support resources for your growing business requirements. This one is from Planet, Networking and Communications. 30 years. How to set up camera poorforwarding with DDNS. Camera here is a CCTV. Topology Internet. PCB, PCA has 192.168.0.1. XRT 401F, WAN, that's router, WAN, public IP address, very typical, LAN 192.168.0245, IP camera 192.168.02, setup DDNS. Configure the router. Go to the WAN setting page to configure the WAN interface. After setup finished, please check PCA. Could go to internet. What the It's not a pure 100% English, but I think it will drive at some point. So let's continue to read. After setup is finished, that's more correct English usage. When static IP address, subnet mask, gateway IP, MTU, that's the size of the packet the router is allowed to pass. Static DNS server, primary DNS, secondary DNS, MAC cloning, MAC address. Step 2, go to the NAT, that's network address translation, virtual server page to set up the port forwarding feature. In this case, the camera IP address is 192.168.02. It has to enable the web port and RTSP video stream port as below. RTSP. Okay. If the web port or RTSP port of camera aren't the default port, you have to check which port does this camera use. I don't know. Which port this camera uses. After the setup is finished, try to use the PCB to type HTTP public IP address 88 to check whether it can connect to camera. Really? Public IP address 8888 to check. Setting enabled. Private IP, private port, public port. Comment. Rules setting. Comment. Camera web, camera RTSP, private IP, private port 80554, public port TCP 8888, TCP UDP 554. Configure the camera. Check the DDNS setting of camera. We just use Planet DDNS and Easy DDNS to make some explain. What the fuck? Here are some steps for Planet. Okay. DDNS, Planet DDNS as below. Step 1. Enable DDNS option through accessing web page of camera. Okay. Select on DDNS server provide. Okay. And register an account if you do not use yet. Here are some notes for set up the DDNS account. For security reason, we keep some keyword with some word masked. So if user use this key work to be their Planet DDNS domain, they will fail to register to DDNS server. Please make sure you didn't apply those settings in your DDNS. That means don't copy and paste our password X. Example, read DDNS123 planetddns.com. It will fail to register Planet DDNS server. Step 3. Add the registered domain and device's name. If the DDNS work properly, the ping status should be green, and you also can see the DDNS update successful in your camera DDNS page. DDNS, my device. Number 1, your device. Register domain, Frank, name of your device, ICA HM227. Last connection IP. Okay, it was 92. No. Ping status, green. Camera DDNS page, DDNS, enable DDNS. So this setting was that guy's different, the server host or someone trying to access the camera DDNS page, DDNS, enable DDNS provider, planetddns.com, hostname Frank, username Frank, password DDNS status. After checking the DDNS status, PCB could type DDNS domain 882 to connect with the camera. So that was a very rude introduction. I will just move on. That was funny, but to the point. I thought it was a very deep learning, but obviously it wasn't. What the fuck happened? I do not know. So I will just say DDNS and port forwarding to read one more article. teltonicatworks.com. Does DDNS need port forwarding? Yes. General router port forwarding tutorials, Dynamics DDNS servers. How to set up a port forwarding step or find out router's IP address. Okay, let's check out this one. Looks pretty brief, but it contains all the bangs and blinks. So dynu.com, but very slow. I think their server is very slow. Okay. Okay. Looks like a Chinese company. No. So this one is from DYNU, General Router Port Forwarding. What is port forwarding? Yeah, this is good introduction, man. Port forwarding opens certain ports on your network, usually blocked from access by your router to the general internet. Open ports are used to allow a connection into your home network from the internet through the usual security of your router that otherwise does not permit connections to these ports. They are common in gaming, torrenting, and remote access. Gaming. So that's good insight. They are common in gaming, torrenting, and remote access. Gaming, torrenting. How to set up port forwarding? Step 1. Find out router's IP address. To open your router's configuration page, you need to enter the router's IP address in the address bar of a browser. That's very common. For most routers, the IP address will be 192.168.0.1 or 192.168.1.1. You may also find out the router's IP address by command. The router's IP address is usually the same as the default gateway. Windows. Open the command prompt and enter ipconfig and or Mac. Open the terminal and enter netstart -nr. Linux. Open the terminal and enter route. Step 2. Obtain login information for the router. After entering the router's IP address in the address bar of a web browser, a window will show up asking for username and password. If you know your username and password, you may log in and configure your router. If you do not have information on the username and password, here is some common logins. Username admin, password admin. Username admin, password none. Useword administrator, password. If none of the above works for your router, you may go to portforwarding.com to look for the default login information for your router. If you have configured the login information and forgotten it, you may reset your router to factory settings and use the router's default login. Here, factory settings, it's a plural. Factory settings, default login. Okay. Step 3, find port forwarding in the router. Each router will have different names for port forwarding and may locate it in different sections. Some common names for port forwarding are port translation, reserved mapping, virtual servers, applications, gaming, etc. Applications. Okay, that's good insight. Port forwarding, port translation, reserved mapping, virtual servers, applications, gaming. You may also find it in advanced settings. Step 4, set up port forwarding. Most routers have pre-configured options for common applications. If the port you need to open is in the list, you may simply select the option. Otherwise, you can set up a custom entry. That's good word. A custom entry. otherwise. Pre-configured options. Pre-configured options. Pre-configured options. Custom entry. The information you may need is listed below. Service name. You may name it in the way you want as long as you know what entry it is for. Protocol. This can be TCP, UDP, or both. If you are unsure, select TCP/UDP option. If you are unsure, external port. Enter the common port for the application. For example, 3389 for remote desktop, external port, internal or destination port. It is usually the same as the external port unless you are setting up the application on a non-standard port. It is usually the same as the external port unless you are setting up the application on a non-standard port. Internal IP address. Select the internal IP address to assign the port forwarding to. This is the internal IP address of the computer running the application. Select the internal IP address to assign. Yeah, I was distracted. I was thinking of a coworker who was tenaciously hostile and very stupid, and he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk to friends who were once hostile, who was unkind to him. He's 3 years older, but he's very stubborn, asinine, and he used to be good, not anymore. He's stupid. So I was distracted thinking about him. So I'll just repeat this. I will just start from the beginning. Internal IP address. Select the internal IP address to assign the port forwarding to. This is the internal IP address of the computer running the application that you are unblocking. It is usually in the form of 192.168.0 * global character. It is the IPv4 version 4 address. When you use the following command, Windows, open the command prompt and enter ipconfig and all. Mac, open the terminal and enter netstat-nr. Linux, open the terminal and enter route. Step 5. Test the port forwarding. After you have completed the configuration above, you may use the port check tool to see if the port has been opened or not. Router port forwarding. Okay, it was brief, but basically you find out router's IP. You just enter the router. It's easy. And service name, you name the one you are doing. A protocol, usually TCP/UDP. UDP is for voice communication, usually. Okay, for faster communication than TCP. External port. The port the remote access user is trying to use. Internal means camera address or your desktop address. External port. Internal IP address. That's the your desktop or camera or some other, like a card checker, POS, point of sales, terminal address. Okay, so let's go back. See if I can read one more article. Okay, I don't need a background because I am knowledgeable about this. But I would like to just go over the easy 1, 2, 3 steps to set up DDNS and port forwarding. What is portfolding? Whether you are a user or a customer, the topic of portfolding is almost certainly going to be something you will run into when you are trying to set up remote access. Portfolding may appear to be a complex process, but in fact, it is simple. In short, portfolding allows remote devices to connect to your system within a local area network LAN. Continue below to get started on learning how to port forward. Requirements: a personal computer connected to the same router as the MVR DVR. IP address of MVR DVR and your router. Refer to here for information on how to find your router's information. The username and password for your router. Please check the PDF to see how to configure the port forwarding. Okay, just I'm pulling off domain. Yeah, this there are two ways connection allow you to watch your device remotely. IP domain connection, also known as IP port forwarding. P2P connection, also known PT cloud connection. Here is the comparison table, but personally I prefer to use IP domain access. There gotta be some easy steps. Maybe image is much better. So with this diagram, it shows that you are there's a remote access like a hacker, right? No hacker, but it's a friendly hacker or some remote access user computer outside of your network. It tries to access the camera with some external protocol and port forwardings, home or office network like modem, router, computer inside of your network, camera, DVR, or other devices. That's very typical port forwarding scenario. Set up your router for external traffic, port forwarding. Yeah, that's lengthy for me. They gotta be easy 1, 2, 3 steps, right? Wrong? Oh, IP address, primary, enabled, MTU. And I say it as wrong. Yes, here's a port forwarding table, right? RDP1, it starts the port 3389 to 3389, TCP, IP address enabled. So that's port forwarding and other stuff. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye bye.